Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a brand new match preview on the channel today. Hope you guys are keeping well. It is a huge game tomorrow afternoon at Molineux as Leeds United face off against Wolves. Wolves, 4 games in, 4 defeats. Huge game coming up for Vitor Pereira and the squad. But weirdly going into it, I'm feeling a little bit more positive. Of course, we'll get into the latest team news. Vitor Pereira's pre-match press conference. We'll have the opposition perspective later on in the video as well. 2 big pieces of news over the last sort of 24 to 48 hours or so. Vitor Pereira, official and confirmed, signed a brand new 3-year contract at the club yesterday. He was I would say a lot more upbeat today than he was last week in his pre-match press conference. A little bit more positive. Maybe that's because the his signing on fee has landed in his bank account. I don't know. But no, he seemed to be a little bit more positive. He made it pretty clear last week that he wasn't happy in terms of the preparation with the players that he had available and had to his disposal over the international break. This is the big test now for Vitor. He said last weekend after the defeat at Newcastle, give him time with the players and he will improve them and he'll get better results. He's now had a full week for the first time. Transfer window's shut. Players are there. He's had Jorgen Strand Larson back, which is huge news, which I'll touch on in a minute. So things are looking in a slightly better direction for Wolves. Like I alluded to just then as well, Jorgen Strand Larson, it's been a positive 24 hours or so in terms of news for him. We had news yesterday and today pretty much that he's now agreed a brand new contract at Wolves. A 5-year deal plus the option of an additional year in Wolves' favour as well. And now Vitor Pereira has said that Jorgen Strand Larson is potentially available for tomorrow's game. Now, he trained yesterday, which was Thursday. There's a chance that he's going to be available in the squad, but Vitor Pereira made it pretty clear that he won't be playing the full 90 minutes. So will that mean he starts, or will that mean he comes off the bench? We don't know. But interested to see which role he takes, what minutes he gets, what system and formation Vitor plays. He was asked during the pre-match press conference in regards to systems. Of course, he switched it up last week. He was asked if he'd change it or keep with that. And again, he was quite vague about that, which you would expect. He didn't want to give too much away in terms of selection for tomorrow. Leeds United, though, coming into this game, they've lost their 2 away games so far this campaign. They did get a point and a win at Ellen Road at home, so they're in a decent position, and a win for them would take them 7 points clear of us if they were to get a victory at Molineux tomorrow. Wolves have actually got pretty decent form against newly promoted clubs if you look at some of the stats across the screen throughout the video. However, against Leeds United, over the last couple of games that we've faced off against them, we've had some pretty dramatic ties with Leeds coming out on top, I think, on the last 3 occasions. So it's going to be a tough game, but Leeds United fans showing their concerns a little bit in terms of them going forward. They're really struggling to create chances and score goals. Will that work in Wolves' favour? I think really we need to try and get an early goal, so Leeds have got to come out and play against us, and we can maybe take advantage of that, because at the moment they seem pretty well organised defensively, and that's why, bar the Arsenal game where they sort of fell apart, they've been very difficult to beat so far in their few games in the Premier League. Predicted lineup for me is a difficult one. Such a difficult one. Before we get into that, though, big shout out to our channel partners over at Betmate. This weekend, guys, tomorrow, we've got a free-to-play game. So if you've never got involved in Betmate before, this week is the perfect time to do so. You don't have to, you basically sign up and that's it. You can enter the Talking Wolves pot for free for your chance to win from the £100 prize pot. All you've got to do is select 7 players that you think will perform well, whether it's tackles, saves, goals, assists, in tomorrow's game between Leeds and Wolves for your chance to win from the prize pot. Let's try and get as many Wolves fans as we can in there. To enter, just follow the link in the top of the description or scan the QR code that's on the screen throughout the video. And may the best Wolves fan win. 18 plus UK residents only. Please do gamble aware. And my predicted lineup, I'm struggling this week, guys. I really am. I think this sort of curveball of last week's selection has made it very difficult for me. I'll flag it up on the screen now. I've put Sarr back in goal for now. I don't think Johnson had the worst performance in the world, but I think if Jose Sarr is fit and available, he will start the football match tomorrow. the back line could be anything, to be honest. It really could be anything. I will suggest a left wing back. I've got a feeling he'll stick with it. Left wing back Rodrigo Gomez, right wing back Hugo Bueno. He may swap those over, and if he does, I think Hugo starts. I'm not sure about Rodrigo. If Hugo starts, maybe Jackson Chichua comes in on the right-hand side. The back three, Totti, Agbadu and Krejci, I think, maybe the back three. And then the midfield two, I will go with Andre and João Gomez. And then the front three I'm going to go with a little bit of a curveball of Jean Arias, Fer Lopez, and Tolu Arokadare. I'm not sure. I think Hwang might still start as well. There's just so many options. Jorgen may start alongside Tolu. I think only one of them will start and then the other one will replace whoever. But for me, I just really don't know. Going into this game, there's so many sort of question marks over a potential 11, to be completely honest. But I think that 11 is strong enough, in my opinion, to beat Leeds United. It's going to be a tough game. They've been, like I said earlier, they've been very well organised, very difficult to break down. But at Molineux, we've had a poor start. Lost to Everton, which was a poor performance. Lost to City. We got thrashed against City. These are really, respectfully, these are the games we have to be winning if we want to remain a Premier League club. And the relief, look, we won't be in a great position regardless of the result tomorrow, but a win will give us a little bit more breathing space. We'll take a little bit of pressure off, and then, we can focus and push on for the next couple of games. Spurs, who, are a tough team, but we've got good form against. Brighton as well, who tend not to do so well against, but they've had a bit of a sticky start. Can we try and get some points on the board and a little bit of momentum ahead of the next international break? But it's time for the thoughts of the opposition. We spoke to Joe from the Just Joe YouTube channel to get the Leeds perspective ahead of tomorrow's game. So then, guys, delighted to be alongside Joe from the Just Joe YouTube channel to discuss Leeds United as they come to Molineux this weekend. Joe, thanks for jumping on, mate. How are you keeping?
Yeah, good, mate. It's good to chat to you again, as it were, and glad to be back in the Premier League. So yeah, good, man.
Yeah, no, I was going to... Well, that's my first question, really. A really good season for you guys last year to, bounce back into the top flight again. What's it like for you so far? Are you finding the campaign?
It's a bit more ordinary than the last time we got promoted. You'll know yourself when you came up with Nuno, you finished 9th, you're riding the crest of a wave. We had Bielsa last time and it was the same, we're riding the crest of a wave. Let's push the big boys. Now, after being relegated and having a manager that's nowhere near on that level, there's a little bit of realisation within the fan base that, this is going to be a grind. This is going to be tough. Some games are pretty stinking, like the Fulham away one, 0-0. I could see our game at the weekend going the same, but it's not as exciting. But as we know, it's about staying in the division at this point, man.
Yeah, it's about sort of trying to have that realisation as a fan. I think all fans think, when you get promoted or when you're in the Premier League, let's push for Europe. But ultimately, you've got to be realistic about it, and you know where you are in the food chain. And I think, you just got to try and fight for your lives, and it's not going to be sort of a all-out attacking entertainment performance every week. I don't think, and it'll be very interesting to see what it's like on Saturday, because we have had some cracking games over the years, Leeds and Wolves. I mean, the last couple of visits, you come to Molineux. I mean, Leeds have got the better of us. I think they're on a 3-match winning run in all
it's right, man.
Home and away. We're struggling. What's your thoughts on the manager then? Because on my social media, I see tweets pop up about Leeds every now and then. The transfer window was one which I'll talk to you about in a sec. But Daniel Farke is almost sort of, I assume there was a portion of the fan base just coming into the season assuming that maybe he wasn't going to be the manager, whether from the start of the season or whether he was going to get moved on, a few weeks in. What's your take on that?
So I really like him, Dave. When you look online, which is only a small cross section,
of course,
obviously, there's quite a lot of negativity towards him, but I really like him. I think he's given us 2 successful seasons in the Championship. I know we lost in the playoffs first time around, but when you get 190 points to get across 2 seasons, no matter how good your team is, it's still good feat. And he's already seen, you'll know yourself, when he came up with Norwich, he was very attacking, you could argue very naive, and they were getting slapped up every week. You can see Leeds United, he's changed the tactics, he's put 3 in midfield, and we are going to be difficult to beat. He knows what's required. So I don't mind him, but there are some, and I think, again, it comes back to that Bielsa chat. if you haven't got an emotional connection with your manager, which Farke, you do struggle to build that with him because of how he is in the media, etc. As soon as there's a slight bump, people are not asked. It's like, yeah, go on then, go. Whereas if you really feel for a manager, you want to give them a little bit more rope, don't you? You know what I mean? So I'm probably more positive than most when it comes to the manager because I actually rate him and I like what he says. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good attitude to have, though, isn't it? You know, in terms of there's no point being glass half empty and negative all the time. You know, you want your best for the football club as well. What would you say sort of the main differences are in terms of where Leeds United are as a club now in terms of playing style, squad, compared to when you were last in the Premier League? Obviously, you had Bielsa, Jesse Marsh, which turned out to be a little bit of a nightmare in the end.
Yeah.
What do you think's different to this Leeds United team this year?
Yeah, a lot more organised. We'll touch on recruitment. I wasn't overly happy with it all, but we've recruited well in areas, brought in physically dominant players that we know can adapt to the league, whereas previously a lot of them were on a wing and a prayer. You know, this might work, it might not. The recruitment this time is sort of tried and tested, I would say. I don't think we've had a bad game from anyone we've brought in yet. Okay, they might not be amazing, but they're ordinary. Like a signing like Sean Longstaff, it doesn't get you excited, but you know what? He does a job. It's what you need,
exactly,
you know. And yeah, we're a lot more professional behind the scenes. I think before we had one man running the show, and obviously when you've got one owner and it's their money, I'm not sure. Whereas now we got the 49ers, they're an investment group. There's a load of them. They've all got, you know, titles before the name, managing this, you know, they're successful people is what I'm saying. So there's a lot more faith that, you know, if they do need to make a decision on the manager, for example, it'll be at the right time, you know. So they'll have, because ultimately they want a return on their investment, don't they? Whereas, you know, a guy on his own just wants the clamour of it all, and I've made this a success, you know. So yeah, we're a lot more steady. Not as exciting as gun ho as we were, but that's what's needed to stay in the division, I think, mate.
Yeah, especially, I mean, as a team coming up, you know, you just need that little bit of stability. You know, once you've been in the Premier League 2 or 3 years, that's when you can maybe look to change the approach slightly. But no, I think you're right there. And yeah, like you said, I mean, the transfer window, Wolves had a difficult summer. Again, I saw comments about Leeds fans weren't 100% happy with it. But again, what was your take on that? And out of those players that you've signed, who's exciting you the most so far?
Yeah, so we started the window really well. They bought building blocks from the back up to the midfield. We've gone with a midfield three, which is something we haven't played under Farke. But I think you look at the way Newcastle operate, and that's a similar sort of vibe we've gone for in the middle of the park. Anton Stack was brought in from Hoffenheim. He's looked really good. Goodmanson, the left back, I know he scored an own goal, unfortunately, last week, but he's been really good. He came in from Leon or Lille. I always get him mixed up. I think he was Lille, and the goalkeeper Perry was Leon, or vice versa. So that's that side of it, mate. Longstaff, etc. Midfield, workman-like players. More than happy with, because, like I say, we need to be solid and difficult to beat. It's the forward areas where they've really let us down. We've let a couple of lads go out on loan without properly replacing them. We brought in Noah Okafor. I'm not convinced yet. No one on the right-hand side, so we've still got Dan James, Nonto and Aronson competing for that position. We're all three of them were here when we got relegated. We don't have a 10, so we can't switch that formation up. They did try to sign Buonanotte. He went to Chelsea. We then tried to get Harry Wilson. He stayed at Fulham. They wanted a right winger that can also play in the 10. And we didn't get that. And then up front, we spent nothing, man. We got Calvert-Lewin on a free, which again, you can't guarantee it. Mecha, we got in on a free. Again, you can't guarantee it. So they spent the majority of the money midfield, defence, and even backup players. Like we spent 10 million on James Justin, but I don't think he's going to get game time if our fullbacks. So it's like, well, could we not have maybe spent that in the forward areas? Because we spent 17 million, mate. 17 million on Okafor, and the other two strikers are free. So, and they've got terrible injury records, right? So if they break down, then it's like, what were you doing? But the manager wanted it. He was he was coming out in presses. I want it. I want at least 2. Then we were thinking it's only going to be 1. Then Buonanotte went to Chelsea, which for me is a wild move for him.
Yeah.
And then we tried to get Harry Wilson out of Fulham, and we couldn't get him on deadline day, so we ended up with no forward players. We did look at the lad Arocadere. Is that how we had, but nothing came of it. Uche as well, who went to Palace.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What was I mean, from an outsider, I don't know too much about it. I don't think he'd be the answer to what you've just said. But Bamford, what was the reason he was let go in the end?
Yeah, so he didn't get much game time this season before. He was always in and out of fitness, as has been since really Bielsa. So issues there maybe after such because Bielsa's training methods are mad. He was always breaking down, and he just said, he needs people that he can depend on, really, and he bombed him out. And Patrick's still without a club. I think it was quite savage, really, of Farke, because he ended up starting a couple of games towards the end of the season. So I was thinking, maybe there's a renaissance. But if we're being honest, it was time for him to go anyway, really. And the fact he hadn't got another club really says that. I thought someone in the Championship might have picked him up,
Yeah, it's a shame. Good player. He always seemed to be a little bit of a handful against us, to be fair. But I think I don't think he would have been the answer to your goal scorer in this season anyway. In terms of prediction, then, Joe, I mean, I think it's going to be a tough game. You've had an okay start, to be fair. I mean, you lost both your away games, but at Ellen Road, you've had a decent start. A lot of Wolves fans are dubbing this one a must-win because we've lost our opening 4 games. What's your thoughts? What's your take going into this game?
It's funny because I'm going to ask you that similar question when we go on ours, because a lot of our fans think it's a must-win. I think it's too early for it to be deemed a must-win, but it's a massive shot in our arm. It would put 7 points between us and you, which
that's a huge gap. Yeah,
it's a gap, innit? Already forming, and you're thinking, well, if Wolves continue in that vein,
that needs a 3-game swing between now and the end of the season. That's still quite. That's a big swing,
Yeah, exactly.
At this stage of the season.
But mate, we can't score. We've scored 1 open play goal from a penalty that some would argue even that was dubious. So we might be sat here with no goals if it weren't for that penalty. Yeah. Fulham, we shouldn't have lost. We deserved something. Obviously, it was a thing. So we could have been looking at 3 clean sheets. In 5 games, which one of them games is Arsenal. Anyone can get slapped up by Arsenal. So, I think it's going to be a bit of a stink fest, if I'm honest.
Are you not parking the bus as such, but have you got a defensive mindset?
Yeah, mid-block. It's more of a mid-block. With the 3-man midfield, the defenders can be counted on. I think last season we saw our fullbacks basically playing in the other half. They were like extra wingers. Obviously, we don't do that as much because we can't get up the pitch as much. But that's our issue, you see. We still possess a lot of the football. We're not like Burnley against Liverpool. We still have a lot of possession. You'll see us have 40, 50, percent possession. It'll be equally shared. So we will compete. It's just when we get into the final third, there ain't enough bodies up there. And the level of player we've got, they make errors in the Championship. They get away with it. In the Premier League, they might get only 1 or 2 chances. So if they don't get it bob on and they make the wrong pass or hold on to it too long, that's what they're guilty of, mate. It's like, pass it now, or they'll take it 1 extra touch, or they'll take a strike when they should have passed it. And it's because they're just not of that level, in my opinion. So that's what's going to let us down. But I don't think a point on the road is bad in any Premier League game. But Leeds fans, they're demanding 3. So I'll say 1-0 Leeds, but it won't surprise me if it's 0-0. We've got a good record, though, recent times.
You have, against us,
we have very good, I remember.
Do you very quickly before we finish, do you think the pressure would be on Farke if you lose Saturday?
It'll show that online, but I don't think it'll be like that inside the club. Because we got, it will, mate, we got beat by Arsenal, then lost to Sheff Wednesday in Cup, and people were saying, sack him. And I was like, we've played 2 Premier League games. Like, it will be definitely online. I mean, I don't know if you know about Rangers, but Russell Martin's up there, and they've had their worst start in 47 years, and they're owned by the same ownership group as us.
Oh, okay.
So the fact they haven't sacked him tells you they're not going to push the button on Farke, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, Joe, thanks for jumping on anyway. Where can people find you and your content if they wish?
Yeah, Just Your Football Show. There will be instant match reaction to the Wolves game. A more relaxed one the day after once we've got emotion out of the way. But
Yeah.
so come on over and check that out.
No, appreciate that, man. And yeah, apart from Saturday, all the best for the rest of the
Yeah,
season. I'll
cheers,
catch you
mate.
soon. So big thanks to Joe. Make sure I leave a link to him and his YouTube channel in the description down below if you want to go and check him out. A little preview on his channel as well. And guys, let me know your thoughts and your score predictions in the comment section down below as well. I am expecting a 2-1 Wolves win. Of course I am. It's the sort of staple prediction that I always give. Very safe prediction. But I do think Wolves have got enough to win. And like I said, I will be so happy and overjoyed if we manage to get the 3 points tomorrow. Look, the Vitor contract situation, should we have done it so early, especially after 4 defeats? I'm not so sure. But what I'm just hoping is that things like that, things like Jorgen coming back and things like his contract extension just gives us a little bit of a lift, a little bit of positivity and happiness in the dressing room, and hopefully it can help us get 3 points tomorrow. As always, guys, be sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you go and check out the free game on Betmate. Use the QR code on the screen or the description or the link in the description down below. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. Fingers crossed it's 3 points for the Wolves, and I'll catch you next time.